Hello team, and welcome back to another episode of Adventure Ready with Adelaide RV. And today we have a little bit of a different setting. I am sitting here inside of our boardroom at the dealership here at Adelaide RV, and I've been asked to do a video and explain everything to do with caravan weights. Now I know this can be a rather tricky topic when it comes to choosing your ideal tow vehicle and pairing it with your ideal caravan. So hopefully by the end of this video, you are an absolute master when it comes to all things weights with your new caravan. Probably heard things like Tare Weight. You've probably heard things like ATM, like ball weight, like Payload. You may have even heard GVM or GCM. And now you're probably sitting here thinking, what on earth are all these abbreviations and what exactly do they mean? And can I actually tow the caravan that I have my heart set on? Hopefully today I'm going to be able to break it down and help you understand what each of these little abbreviations and terminology means inside of our industry. So we're going to start off with the caravan side of things, okay? Now with our manufacturers, when they manufacture the caravan, again, our manufacturers here, they are built down in Melbourne, they will give us a Tare weight. Now the Tare weight of the caravan is also known as the dry weight. It is an empty weight. It is the weight of the caravan when it rolls off of the factory floor. Okay, so the Tare weight is going to be its empty weight. Now it is going to include things such as your mattress, okay, that is going to be in there. It's going to include the water tanks, the toilet cassette, okay, the batteries, things like that. It's not going to include the water in the water tanks, and it's not going to include the gas in the gas bottles, but it is going to include the gas bottles, okay? It is going to include the water tanks, because when the van rolls off of the factory floor, all of these items are fitted, okay? So the very last thing that we do is we put the van on the scales before filling out the VIN plate at the manufacturing facility in Melbourne. Now let's go to ball weight, okay? And what is the ball weight? All right, the ball weight is the amount of weight that is generating through the front coupling of the van and onto the tow ball of your car when you hook the van on. Okay, so if we talk GTM, which you may have heard that as well, the GTM is the weight that is running through the tires of your caravan, okay, when it is connected to the car. So that is the tire load, what is actually distributing down through the road as you are driving along, all right? The difference between that and your ATM, okay, is going to be the ball weight, all right? So when we measure ATM, which is the next one we're going to go into, that is our total mass. All right, so an ATM, the manufacturer will set the ATM. Now there is a lot of variables when it comes to setting the ATM that include things like our braking capacity, things like our tire ratings, our chassis ratings, exactly what the caravan can weigh. It is our axles, our suspensions, okay? All the running gear underneath your caravan will determine what the ATM of your caravan will be. Now that will be set by your manufacturer. All right, so our Tare weight is exactly what the van weighs when it comes out of the factory line. Our ATM, okay, is the maximum that that caravan can weigh, okay? And the difference between the two is what is known as payload, okay? That is what you, the travelers out there, can actually put inside of the van. Now that needs to include things like your water, that needs to include things like your gas, things like all of your personal belongings that you're going to travel with, your camp chairs, your tables, your knives, your forks, your cups, your plates, you get the gist, all right? Everything that you add to the caravan needs to fit inside of the payload, okay? The difference between the dry weight or the Tare weight and then the ATM, which is the maximum that it can weigh, all right? We also talk about ball weight, okay, which I touched on a little bit before. Your vehicle, all right, will have a maximum that your tow vehicle can take as a down weight on the ball of the car. All right, so you need to ensure that depending on the ball weight of the vehicle, that the ball weight of the caravan, sorry, that your vehicle can handle that load, that downward weight. All right, majority of your manufacturers will have a limit on this as well. It'll have a maximum tow ball capacity, all right? They'll give you a tow ball weight at Tare and then they'll give you a tow ball maximum capacity. All right, a lot of times in situations, the tow ball capacity may be 350 kilos, for example, and the tow ball at Tare Weight may be 180 kilos. Okay, so which one is it? It's 180 kilos now, all right, and then depending on what you put in it, all right, depending on when you fill your gas bottles, whether you put a generator in a generator box, whether you put a pole carrier on the front, whether you load your camp chairs and stuff into a front boot, that is all going to have an impact depending on how you load your caravan on the ball weight. All right, so it's always best to go and get that measured, all right, before you head off on your trip to ensure that you haven't put too much weight down on the ball of your vehicle, all right, because everything that goes down on the ball of your vehicle actually goes into the GVM. Now I know, another bloody abbreviation, but let's jump forward. Let's jump into the tow vehicle for now. Okay, so now we're in the tow vehicle. All right, the important weights with your tow vehicle is the vehicle manufacturer will give you a curb weight, okay, which is basically a tare weight of the car. So that's the car when the car has nothing in it, when the car comes off the manufacturing facility and the car is empty. All right, and then you then go and add things to your vehicle, okay? So your curb weight of your vehicle is the dry weight, the tare weight, it's empty. And then you will then have a GVM, which is the maximum that that vehicle can weigh, okay? Now, when you go and add things to the vehicle, all right, they all take into consideration vehicle payload. Now, they're things like your fuel. They're things like a canopy, a drawer system, a fridge, maybe a bull bar, a spotlight, a second battery, okay? You, the wife, your husband, your kids, okay, the car seats, they all add up to become the payload in the vehicle. Along with that, also the ball weight of the caravan, okay? So it is really important that you establish, okay, what's the curb weight of my car? What's the GVM of my car? And what's the difference in between? Have I got, call it 1,000 kilos carrying capacity in the vehicle? All right, and now what do I weigh? What does the wife weigh? What does Stella weigh in my example? All right, what are the kids? Do I have a bull bar? Have I put a second battery in? And all of these items add weight, okay? So that is on the vehicle side of things. We add our tow ball, and now we look at the caravan, all right? So we want to ensure that, let's call it 500, 600 kilos has been given as a carrying capacity on the caravan. Now we must consider our gas, we must consider our water, okay? And then all of the gear that we use. As a bit of a rule of thumb, okay? Now each situation is different, but a bit of a rule of thumb, the caravan industry come up with a calculator and they worked on roughly 140 kilograms of personal belongings per couple. And then we add 30 kilograms per child if you're in a family setting, okay? Now that is just your goodies. That's your food, that's your knives, that's your forks, that's your plates, your camp chairs, your tables, some tooling, your bedding, your clothes, things like that. That doesn't include a generator. That doesn't include an annex. Doesn't include the water in your water tanks, you know, a jerry can on the van as well. So all these things all add up. So it is super, super important that you do the math before you hit the open road. Okay, so now I've touched on the vehicle. Curb weight, GVM, the difference in between is the payload. Now don't forget to include yourself and don't forget to include the ball weight of the caravan. Then we jump to the van. I've gone through tear mass out of the manufacturing facility. I've gone through ATM maximum that you can put in, and the difference is your payload inside of the caravan. Now we hook them on together and we drive down the road, and we have another one that we need to ensure, and this one is called our GCM, or our gross combined mass. Now this one is set again by the vehicle manufacturer, and that is what is the maximum capacity of vehicle fully loaded and caravan or trailer or whatever you're towing fully loaded. What is the maximum that can be going down the road at any one time, okay? Because for a lot of common utilities, it's 6 ton, okay? You can get GCM upgrades, okay? Your heavier vehicles may have a 6.6 or a 6.9 or even a 7 ton GCM, my apologies, but it's important to ensure that that GCM, the gross combined mass, that is the car, full of fuel, full of your gear, with you and the kids inside of it, and the caravan, full of gear, all of your stuff inside of it traveling down the road. That's the one that gets so many people caught out, okay? So please make sure you check your GCM. It is crucially important. If Adelaide RV and our purpose is to help people travel, to inspire and motivate you guys to travel, that we do it safely, okay? We have a duty of care here at Adelaide RV to ensure that what you're cruising down the road in is legal and that you can tow it. Okay, over here to how do I actually know, or how do I actually find these things out? So let's just have a look here on the laptop. I'm going to zoom in on a sample picture of a VIN plate. It is an RVMAP accredited VIN plate by our friends at the Caravan Industry Association of Australia, and this is what a standard VIN plate would look like. Okay, so here we have the manufacturer, their details, and the date of manufacture, the VIN number, and the vehicle model. Here we have our ball loading at Tare. Okay, so that is the tow ball mass or the ball weight that I just spoke about, but at the Tare. So that's when it comes out of manufacturer. Okay, we then have our Tare weight, okay, our dry weight, our GTM, all right, our ATM, and then our load carrying capacity. We also talk about rim sizes, axle group loading, okay, and tire sizes. They're crucially important as well because they all add up to ensure that the load carrying capacity is going to be able to be met. All right, the tire companies will have a load rating, the chassis companies will have a load rating, the wheel bearing and brake companies will have a brake capacity as well, whether it's a 10-inch or a 12-inch brake. So there's a lot of information here, guys. I'm just going to bring up another little diagram here very, very quickly. So if we actually have a look here, we've got the key to ratings and masses by the Caravan Industry Association of Australia. Now they go through A, B, and C. All right, A is the carrying capacity of the payload that we've spoken about. This includes fluids, luggage, personal effects, options fitted after manufacturer. A will vary depending on the weight of A applied to the caravan. Okay, so again, depending on how much you put in, that one's going to vary. We jump across to C, that's the tow ball load. C will depend on the height of the coupling, okay? So again, depending on if you're a bigger off-road van, all right, you may have a heavier ball, all right, depending on the height of that coupling. C is the load of the tow ball that is exerted onto the tow ball of the tow vehicle at any time. So exactly as I was just stating to you guys, that's the weight that generates through the tow ball of the vehicle and must be included in your GVM, which is the maximum, the gross vehicle mass, the maximum that your vehicle can weigh. And then we have B, which is going back to the GTM that I was just talking about, okay, which is the load on the tires, okay? It'll vary depending on the weight and the positioning of A. So again, Tare mass, B plus C, okay? GTM, A plus B. ATM, A plus B plus C, okay? Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an understanding to the caravan weights there. So there we have it, guys. That is directly from our industry association, backing up exactly what I have just gone through with the differences between our Tare weight and our ATM, the GCM of the vehicle and the caravan put together, the GVM, which is just the vehicle on itself, the curb weight, which is just the car on itself, the Tare weight, which is just the caravan on its own. I know, guys, there are so many abbreviations, but there are some awesome tools out there, especially on the Caravan Industry Association of Australia's website. You can also jump across to our website, which is adelaiderv.com.au, where we have a weight calculator, which will step you through in another video on exactly how to use that to ensure that you are going to be legal when you hook on and hit the open road. So again, I know this has been more of an educational session. I know there's been a lot of information here, but hopefully that has helped you decipher the difference between all the Tare masses and the weight ratings inside of this industry. Guys, we are inspiring and motivating people to travel, and we want to make sure we give you all of the information. So it's time to go and crack a beer, have a red wine. That was a heavy educational session, but I hope you've got some information out of it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you like exactly what we do, and leave some suggestions for what you want to see next. Until next time, guys, stay adventure ready.